It is not that hard to get ahead. When I was in high school, bro, I was the complete average person. I was the average high schooler. Actually, probably below average, to be honest. I was below average in high school. I was super duper awkward. I was super weird. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any idea of what I wanted to be in my future. I didn't have any idea of what I wanted to do when I grew up. And so I was kind of just winging it. I had some good aspects, I had some decent aspects. Like I was in advanced math, for example. I was in advanced math since I was in like 5th grade. So I was in 6th grade math, I was in 5th grade, 7th grade math, and 6th grade, etc., etc. And that carried on through high school as well. But I wasn't like that smart when it came to that. That was kind of more on just natural, I don't even know. My dad, he had me doing workbooks and stuff when I was a kid in my free time. And so I think that's what kind of prompted that. And I was always doing my homework and shit. But I never studied or anything. I never studied math. I never studied any of that shit. I was just kind of decent at it, just off the cuff. And so I was in advanced math, and guess what? I didn't even do the homework. I did the homework at lunchtime. You know what I'm saying? I did the homework from the previous day on the day it was due in lunchtime, because I had math in 6th or 7th period. And so I didn't even do it at home. I just did it at lunch. And there would be a lot of times where there was like a big packet of homework, and I would spend the entire lunch period, as well as the first like 3 to 4 classes of the day, doing the math packet for homework for my 6th grade class. Like I would spend all day doing homework when I could have just did it at home. And I didn't even do it anyway. I was just using photo math and shit. I was just using AI and shit. So it's like I wasn't that smart is what I'm trying to say. Like I wasn't smart. I wasn't like special or anything. Kind of just got by off, procrastination and shit. But when I was in high school, bro, I played 0 sports. I never played basketball. I never played football. I never played lacrosse, tennis, soccer, swimming, nothing. I didn't play a single sport throughout my entire high school career. And that caused a lot of problems for me because I didn't have a brotherhood. I didn't have any friendships, like I said. Like I had friends. Like I had friends, but I didn't have like a strong sense of self, and like I didn't have a strong sense of like where I was in the popularity contest, because high school was about that. I was super duper infatuated, I guess. I was super duper just locked into the concept of trying to raise my social status and trying to make more friends and get more girls and shit like that. Like that's what I was mainly focused on. I wasn't focused on actually doing my homework and actually doing the work and progressing through my life, and focused on building skills or anything that I would tell somebody to do right now in that situation. I wasn't doing any of that shit. And so I didn't have any muscle. I didn't have any like coordination or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't athletic and shit. I ended up gaining weight a little bit. At first, when I first started high school, I was skinny. In like 2018, 2019, 2020, I was super duper skinny. By the time it got to about 2021, and this was like in COVID and shit, I started working out and shit, and I had a job at Little Caesars, so I ate a lot of pizza. So I eventually ended up gaining a lot of weight too. And so I never had like that good build in high school. I never had a good athletic, muscular build. I was always either super skinny or fat, because I left high school super skinny in March 2020. I think that's when they shut down everything. And then when I came back in late 2021, I was already fat. And so I didn't have my body in check. I didn't have my discipline in check. Like I said, I was just focused on getting girls and shit. And so what I would do when I would get home, because I didn't have any practice, because I didn't have any responsibilities, I didn't have any discipline, I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have band or anything. Like I had nothing to do after school. So I would literally just play video games and shit. I would just play video games all day, watch TikTok, watch YouTube, just consuming content and playing video games. That's all I did. And so this fucked me up. Like all that time I could have been using to build a skill. I could have been using to do something else. The only thing productive that I was doing during this time period was YouTube. I was doing YouTube around this time, and I was pretty consistent with it. Like I said, like this was the only thing that I had productive, and so I did utilize that. I did lean into YouTube, but I didn't do it the best. Like I did it the best way that I could. Like I'll give myself credit for that. Like all I did was make basketball content, and so I would just make little basketball mixes. Like I would get a player's highlights, and then I would get a trending song at the time, and then I would put them together basically. So I would make like a Russell Westbrook mix, and I would put what song did I put? I put a Young Boy song on there. And I did a whole bunch of those. Like I was dropping those pretty consistently. And eventually I stopped doing that because I realized that using other people's music and other people's highlights and shit, like for my own channel, like that's kind of whack. There wasn't much upward mobility is what I kind of considered. That's what I figured out, because you're using copyrighted music. So anyway, that's beside the point. But so I was doing like 2K videos. I started doing 2K videos and I started recording my gameplay and stuff. And eventually I just quit YouTube altogether for a while. In like late 2020, I wasn't doing YouTube. By the time it got to 2021, we had moved and there was a couple things going on, and I still didn't have much confidence. I still didn't have anything, you know, going really. I was trying to figure out some shit to do. I was still, like, the only thing that I was clinging on to was YouTube. And so I started doing reaction videos in YouTube in 2021. And I started doing like spam reactions. I would do like 3, 4, 5, 6 reactions a day, and I'll just upload them all, because I was using the flight react strategy. I was just like recording a million videos and just straight uploading. I didn't edit shit. I didn't know how to edit on the computer. I used to edit on my phone, like those little mixes and shit. I used to edit them on my phone, but I didn't know how to edit on a computer. And so I would just literally record it on my computer. I use OBS, and I'll just record it, and then I just drag it straight to the upload section on YouTube, and I'll upload them hoes. And I just did that for a while. None of that shit really popped off in the moment. Some of those videos are actually starting to get more traction nowadays, which is kind of funny. But at the time, it wasn't getting no traction. I wasn't getting no views or nothing. I was just spam uploading. Outside of that, I still didn't play any sports or anything, so it was literally just YouTube, basketball. I was watching NBA and shit. I was playing 2K and just nothing else. Like, I wasn't doing anything productive, just eating pizza and going to work and shit. And so by the time it got to 2022, I hadn't grown very much. You know, like, this is when I graduated. I graduated high school in 2022. I hadn't grown very much. I developed a little bit of muscle because I started going to the gym around summertime in 2021. Because again, like, I knew that I was fucked up. Like, I knew that my situation was bad. I was trying to be productive. Like, I was trying to figure out some good things to do, but I didn't really do it I didn't do it right. I was going to the gym a little bit, so I had built up a tiny little teensy bit of muscle by the time I got to graduating high school and entering college, which I went to CMU. And when I got to CMU, bro, it was more of the same, except there was zero YouTube. It was all just focused on girls and trying to up my social status, because I viewed college as like my way to get out my personal situation. I didn't have like any status or anything throughout high school, so I'm like, by the time when I get to college, bro, like, this is gonna be my chance to reinvent myself, you know? And so, you know, that was cool. I went to college and I did some of that. Like, I was all right, but I still wasn't playing no sports. I still wasn't, you know, super duper confident. I was still trying to figure myself out, you know? I still didn't really have the shit together. And the problem was that I wasn't focused on YouTube, or I wasn't focused on my schoolwork. And so I actually ended up flunking out of college straight up. Like, I was on academic probation after the first semester, and I didn't improve my shit, and so I got kicked out. I got kicked out by fall 2023, when I should have been returning to my sophomore year. I was stuck at home, and I ended up going to community college, which is way better, honestly. Like, it was way better for me because I needed that chance to reinvent myself. I needed that space. You know, I couldn't reinvent myself while I was in college, because I was just under the microscope. Like, when you're in college, you're in a bubble. Like, everything you do is just like, everybody knows you. And especially, like, I went to a PWI, a predominantly white institution, which is CMU, and there wasn't a lot of black people there. So it's like, all the black people really knew each other and shit. And so, like, anything that I did was like magnified, you know what I'm saying? And so I couldn't just duck off and kind of reinvent myself in the dark like I wanted to, because I figured out that that's what I needed to do. And so really the only time that I had with like a decent social status and like doing a lot of social shit was that first semester, really, like, you know, from the fall to New Year's. And after that, I had already figured out that this shit wasn't for me, because I still didn't drink. I started smoking a little bit, but I still didn't drink. And I didn't get along with a lot of those people. You know, they were cool. They were my friends, quote unquote, but I didn't really get along with them because they had a lot of values that I didn't agree with. They were doing a lot of degenerate shit, and I still didn't do any of that shit. And so by the time I got to like February, March of 2023, I started going to church more. There was a church thing on campus. It was Crew. You might have heard of that. But I started going to that. And like I had been planting the seeds of my transformation, you know what I'm saying? Like I knew that I wasn't really meant to be in that type of environment. And so by the time I got to community college, I was lost, you know. I had no friends because all my friends were in college. You know, I got kicked out, and it was super embarrassing because I had told all these people. I had an open house, and a lot of people came to that. I told all them people that I was going to CMU and I was going to be studying whatever the fuck I said. And it's like, man, now I'm just back to square one, basically. And I didn't have any credits from CMU because I had a literal 0 GPA. Literally 0. And I still find this hard to believe because I feel like I turned in some shit, but I guess it just didn't amount to anything. I had literally a 0.0 GPA. And so I didn't have any credits to transfer over from CMU. So I literally had to start from scratch when I went to a community college. So through all this time, I'm still like average. You know, I'm still average to below average, to be honest. I didn't have any confidence. I didn't have any like muscle for real. I didn't really have like anything that I could hang my hat on. I didn't have any grades. I didn't have any forward momentum. You know, like I was just stuck. And that went on from like the end of 2023 until 2024. And 2024 was like the first year that I really kind of buckled down a little bit. I was still pretty lost. Like I was still lost in the trance, you know, still trying to find my way and all that. But I had figured out a few things, and I had laid some things out. I had started going to the gym very, very consistently. And so this is why I tell you guys to start going to the gym, because this was the first thing that I did last year to really expedite my discipline and to really change my identity as somebody that had discipline, somebody that could put their mind to something and continue to do it until they get the result that they want, you know, and stay persistent. There were so many times when I'm going to the gym and doing all that shit that I wanted to stop. I wanted to not go to the gym. You know what I'm saying? There's so many times that I did that, and I went to the gym anyway. And that little shit builds your discipline. That little shit builds your self-identity into someone that you can respect. And that was the first time that I felt respect for myself. And I say all that to say that it doesn't take that much to get ahead. And so just that alone is what put me in the self-identity and the mindset that I can be disciplined and that I have potential. You know, I can do something. I can set my mind to something and complete it. And once I started doing that, and then I started getting back into YouTube after like 3 to 4 years, you know, because like in 2022, I wasn't doing YouTube. I didn't do YouTube from 2022 to 2024. And so that was like 2 years hiatus. And mind you, I had been doing YouTube since I was 12 years old in 2017. That was a big thing. And I had been on and off, you know, here and there. Like in 2018 and 19, I had stopped kind of doing it. The end of 2019 is when I started doing those basketball mixes I was talking about earlier. I had taken a couple breaks, but this was like the longest break I had taken since my YouTube inception. And so I was ready to get back into the game, you know what I'm saying? And so I started doing more reactions and stuff back in 2024. I still didn't really know what type of content I wanted to make. I wasn't doing this type of content. I was doing reactions and shit, and I was trying to figure out a way to do that. But reactions is not really my favorite thing because you're just kind of leeching off someone else's content. So I never really loved doing that. I love what I'm doing right now. Like, this is the type of shit that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to give some advice that I actually have. But the problem is that I didn't have any advice to give back then. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't disciplined. I hadn't accomplished shit. I hadn't done shit. Once I started working out more and started doing YouTube back again, I started, you know, doing shit like that, improving my self-worth and confidence and all that. I started branching off into other things. I started reading more. I started doing a little bit of modeling on the side. I did a little modeling stuff. And I was just expanding my range. And so this year, 2025, like I just like took off. You know what I'm saying? Like my discipline was at the all-time high, and like all the shit that I've been doing has been like stacking up. You know what I'm saying? Like all the discipline and all the, you know, late nights and up studying and writing scripts and editing and all this shit. Like all the stuff that I had been doing that I hadn't done consistently up to this point. I had kind of learned and I had figured out how to do it well. I started just being consistent. Like, I just realized that all it takes is consistency. Because even when I was working out, I wasn't like going the hardest every single day. It was just the fact that I was going every day, you know? And so it's the same thing with YouTube. Like, I'm at the point now where And this whole year, I've been at the point where I work on YouTube and shit every single day. Like, I'm always doing something, whether it's adding titles, whether it's doing thumbnails, whether it's editing, whether it's scripting, whether it's research, whether it's something. Like, I'm always doing something. I'm always brainstorming and always just doing something. And so, and I'm still in school. Like, I'm still doing schoolwork and shit. And so it's like, it's a lot, you know, but I wouldn't have been able to handle this in those times. And so my point is that it doesn't take that much to get ahead. And the reason I say that is because I look at people right now that I went to high school with that were above me in the social hierarchy or whatever. You know, they had a lot more muscle than me. They had a lot more girls than me. They had a lot more just, you know, popularity and you know, recognition than I did. And so they didn't really talk to me for real. They didn't have, you know, I wasn't like friends with them or anything. And nowadays I look at their Instagram and shit, like I've seen some of them in real life. I dap some of them up and like they've like gained weight and shit. I look at their Instagram and in 2022, 2023, 2024, they've had little pictures of them drinking and shit. Them at a party, them at a nightclub, them, you know, wherever the fuck with beers in their hands and like you can see a little vape in there, like they'll be posing and there'll like be a little vape in between their finger, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, bro, y'all niggas been doing this shit for 3 years. Like, you at this point, I've been in high school 3 years. You've been smoking and drinking and eating bullshit for 3 years straight now. It's like, dude, like it's a little disappointing to see that. Like, but I ain't gonna lie. That's why I felt like I had to get out of college, because I was starting to, like, I was doing a little bit of that shit, but I wasn't at that point. I wasn't drinking a whole bunch and I wasn't like doing a whole bunch of crazy shit. But, you know, like, it's hard to do all that shit when you're in college, like I said, because you're in a bubble and like everybody else is doing it. But all it took for me to get ahead of people like that, you know, like I'm in way better shape than those people. And like, not to brag or anything, but I'm like way more disciplined than them and all that. Like, I don't do any of that shit. I don't do any smoking or drinking or anything. Like, I don't do any of that shit. I don't party. I don't do none of that shit. It's like all it took for me to get ahead was just for me to be focused on a task, be focused on my YouTube, be focused on my health and my fitness and all that. And those things expanded into other areas of my life to where I started learning more. I started reading books. I started just expanding my knowledge and just completely reshaping my entire identity, you know, and deconstructing bad habits and constructing good habits and all the type of shit like that. And so it's like it was kind of a lot, like a little bit, but it didn't take that much to get started on this path, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it doesn't take that much to start the process of getting ahead. And then once you start that process and you just do it consistently, like you just do those small actions every day. Like I used to do audiobooks and shit. Like I'll just listen to an audiobook for like maybe 10 to 20 minutes a day, you know, nothing crazy. Like I wasn't sitting there for an hour, you know, I just have it on while I'm driving or while I'm doing something else. I would do DoorDash and shit. And so I would just have the audiobook on while I'm doing that. Or when I'm doing some homework, I just have on the audiobook or whatever. And like I said, going to the gym, like I didn't even go super hard every day, but it's just like I just did it every day, you know. And so once you do all that shit every day, once you do little certain things, little productive things every single day, it'll just add up and stack up and compound to the point where now, like, I'm a completely different person than I was even last year, even 6 months ago, even 3 months ago, you know. Like, just because like 90 days is 3 months, you know. If you do something 90 times, like, that's a lot. If you read 10 pages 90 times in a row, like that is a completely different shift. That's a big shift in your identity and everything that you learn, and I mean everything that you know and all that. And so it's like, man, and I just look back, like I feel like I'm just getting started, you know, but I'm already like way ahead of those people like that. And it's just like, dude, it didn't take that much. All it took was just some discipline and just some clarity. And so that's why I be telling y'all the same shit that I be doing, bro. Like, I be telling y'all, just start. Like, just do something and just do it every day. Or like 3 times a week even. Like, even that. It don't even have to be every single day. It can be 3 times a day. I mean, 3 times a week. It could be 5 times a week. You know, like, it could be once a week, right? If you started working out once a week, that's better than 0 times a week, right? And then you build up to 2 or 3 times a week. And then you build up to 4 or 5 times a week and build up to 6 or whatever. You can stop at 5 times a week if you want to. And it really don't, and like, it's really not that much. And so that's why I come on here and I preach to y'all, like, it's not about being the hardest person. It's not about being the most perfectionist, whatever. It's not about that. Like, it's just about just doing some small shit every day, and you know, eventually it'll work out. You know, you just got to stay patient. That's the hard part. The hard part is really just the consistency and the discipline to stay patient and just keep doing it, even in the ups and downs of life and the ebbs and flows, because there's going to be times where you don't feel like doing it. There's going to be times where you don't feel good, where your stomach hurts, your neck hurts, you know, just little nagging injuries, you stubbed your toe, or you know, there's little shit like that. Maybe I had a few people pass away in my family in this time, and like just little things like that. I mean, that's not little, but things like that. If you can just keep going through those times and you just stay consistent with that, like that's all it really takes for real. And then before you know it, like I'm looking up right now and I'm like, bro, I'm way ahead of most of those guys, man. It seems like I took a lot in the moment, but when you look back, it really didn't take all that much for real. It just took some consistency. That's really all it took. So I just wanted to get that message out to you guys. Just stay consistent, bro. Like that's really it. Just stay consistent and just keep going. And it really ain't that hard to get ahead. Like if you're in that point where I was, where you spend a lot of time doing a bunch of bullshit and you don't spend your time wisely, you can look back at all my other videos. I explain a lot of the mindsets and stuff that I adopted to get me to this point. But all it takes is just figure out something that you want to do, figure out some goal that you want to have, and figure out what you can do every day to build up to that goal. And then just start doing it every day. You know, once you figure that out, start doing it. Like if you want to build a good physique, start going to the gym every day. And then you got to figure out your workout routines and your diet and all that. That's why goal setting is so important, is because it gets the ball rolling. Like if I didn't start working out, then I wouldn't have had a good diet by now. You know, I wouldn't have had a good workout regimen by now. You know, little stuff like that. I wouldn't have had the muscle memory by now. And so I had to build all that stuff up while I'm trying to build up my physique and stuff. Now, and I wouldn't have done all that if I wasn't trying to build up the physique. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have that goal. You have to have something that you're trying to work toward. You start doing that little shit every day, and then at some point you look up in like 3 months, and then you're like a completely different person. And then you keep going 6 months, 9 months, and it's been a year. Like it's already September. Like I'm like, what the fuck? Like I feel like this year has just flown by. It's about to be 2026, guys. Like that's insane. I feel like it ain't even been that long for real. And I've completely changed. And so that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't take that much. So just set a goal, find something that you want to achieve, and just set in stone little things that you can do, and then just start doing them. You're not going to be perfect when you first start. You're not going to be perfect even a few months in, but it's okay. Like as long as you keep going, you're going to achieve the goal. Like there's no way that you cannot achieve the goal if you just keep going and you stay consistent and you stay persistent. There's literally no way. So there's literally no way. So just keep going, bro. And you got it, man. Have that mindset that you can do it. Have that mindset that it's not that hard, and it just takes some consistency, and anybody can be consistent. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this video. Leave a comment what you want to see next, and I will see you later. Peace.